is conditional use number 2300, filed on behalf of MRBP LLC. This is an ordinance to grant a conditional use of land in an AR1 residential district for a borough pit for a parcel of land located on the southwest side of Cary Road, approximately 857 feet south of Frankford School Road. County Council may remember this from the last council meeting on September 20th, where the record was closed and we announced receipt of those additional comments, and Council deferred action for further consideration.
Pleasure, Council.
Move for adoption.
Motion, Mr. Hudson.
This is for the conditional use. Typically, we'd read the short title with the conditions,
Okay,
etc.
Okay.
Yes, an ordinance grant a conditional use of land in an AR1 agricultural residential district for a borough pit to be located on a certain parcel of land lying and being in Baltimore 100, Sussex County, containing 56.93 acres, more or less, for reasons given by planning and zoning numbered 1 through 8 with conditions 9A through T.
Pleasure, Council.
Move for adoption.
Motion, Mr. Hudson.
Second.
Second, Mr. Riley. Questions on the motion? We're going to take the vote. Mr. Hudson.
Mr. President, I've given this application a lot of thought. There's been a lot of information provided, and I know the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of it with conditions. After considering all the information in the record, I cannot support a borough pit in this location. Under our zoning code, one of the things we need to consider if any conditional use is the possible impact on neighboring properties from a proposed use. Here, I believe that this would have an adverse impact on the nearby properties. While there's a need for dirt, sand, and gravel, there are better locations for borough pits in more rural areas of the county that will not have an impact on homes or community use properties like the adjacent recreational fields that are next door to the property. I am concerned that this borough pit is essentially shoehorned in among a community recreational facility on an irregular shaped piece of property. This proposed borough pit is also on a small road, and there was testimony in the record that Cary Rd would not be able to handle the volume of large truck traffic that would come from the use of this property as a borough pit over many years. Same is true of Roxana Road, Frankford School Road, which all connect to Cary Rd. Although the Dell-Down information in the record stated that the use would likely only generate fewer than 50 vehicle trips per day, that does not take into account the fact that these would be large, heavy trucks and not ordinary vehicles. I'm not satisfied that Cary Rd or other nearby roads can handle what is essentially industrial truck traffic. The neighborhood should not be burdened by this truck traffic and the noise generated by it either. Our comprehensive plan states that, quote, it is important that commercial and industrial development occurs in a scale, intensity, and distance appropriate to residential neighborhoods, unquote. I don't believe that the proposed borough pit is in compliance with this standard. It's essentially a industrial mining operation with dredges, heavy equipment, and heavy truck traffic on the site and on the area roads. And this is not compatible with the scale and intensity of this neighborhood. I also considered the extensive opposition to this application, including a petition with 17 signatures from the community. This opposition came from neighbors or residents who regularly use the roadways and would directly be impacted by this application. Their reasons for opposing this application included concerns about traffic and the volume of truck traffic that would be generated by this use. They also stated concerns about the noise coming from all the equipment that would be used as part of the borough pit operations. As a result of all this, they also stated reasonable concerns about the impact of having a borough pit nearby to their property on the property values. There was also testimony from nearby farmers who expressed concern about the impact of the borough pit on chicken farming operations and water quality. I find all these concerns to be compelling. On the other hand, no parties other than the applicant and its representatives appeared at the public hearing in favor of this application. I understand that the application that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this application. However, based upon the record that we heard at our public hearing and the reasons I've explained here, I can't follow the Commission's recommendations at this time. I also don't feel that the recommended conditions can adequately address the potential adverse impacts of this borrow pit at this location. The application, if approved, would be detrimental to the health, safety, and general welfare of the neighboring property owners and pedestrians and motorists in the area. And for all of these reasons I've mentioned, and based on all of these reasons, I am voting not in favor of the conditional use 2300 for the borrow pit.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Schaefer.
I agree completely with Mr. Hudson's recommendations. In particular, the condition of the road, I think that we need to pay attention to that, not only in this application, but in future applications. And I also vote no.
Mrs. Green.
I agree with Councilman Doug Hudson's testimony here today, and I will vote no.
Riley.
I also vote no based on the reasons and rationale offered by Councilman Hudson.
I also certainly find compelling Mr. Hudson's comments, and I will say I've been by that twice in the last couple of weeks, and I was by there yesterday afternoon, and I had to pull off the road for a school bus to pass me. So it's a kind of a narrow road when you meet two meet. I don't think it's a good place for a lot of dump trucks and cars and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to vote no. Also, motion denied. Next, sir.